beautiful red V-tail grouper in this tank. Look at this guy. Look at this crazy baby yellow tang. He is absolutely gorgeous. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be picking out some fish and inverts for my personal tanks. I have this 120-gallon reef tank here, and then I also have a little 10-gallon nano tank in my room. And today's actually a fun video because I haven't added fish to this tank in forever, and my nano tank has just finished cycling, so I'm super pumped to add some new fish and inverts to these tanks. And it's a good chance for me to show you guys my personal aquariums because I haven't been able to yet on the channel. Now, the 120-gallon tank right behind me has a super thought-through array of fish because fish are my favorite, and that was the inspiration for upgrading. And the coral in it is literally just Synthelia and soft corals. There was a point in time where I had lots of nice corals in this tank, but given that I'm leaving for Hawaii next year for college, I wanted to leave my parents with a little bit easier to keep tank. Added some nice, easy to keep soft corals in here that grow super crazy and look cool, but maybe aren't the nicer corals, so that they could still enjoy it and enjoy the fish. So let's just take a quick little look at the tank real fast before we go head over to the fish store. All this stuff right here is just all Synthelia. There's my blue tang. Up here is my little chalk bass, one of my favorite fish in the tank for sure. I also have a Melanaris wrasse who's cruising back there. There's a cleaner shrimp underneath there. Hi, Mr. Melanaris wrasse. Who else? There's my yellow tang. He's super skittish. I don't know if you know anything about yellow tangs, but sometimes they can be pretty skittish when you come to the glass. There's my Banggai cardinal fish back in the back there. We'll swing around to take a look at that guy because he likes to hide as well. He's just peeking out in there. There's one of those chromies. I have a school of 3 in here. They've been around with me for like a long time, maybe 3 years. Right up front here is my mom's personal favorite fish, the starry blenny. He's awesome, super cool personality. There's my yellow tang coming out to say hi a little bit. As far as other corals go, it's just the Synthelia. We got some nice cabbage coral over here that's going crazy, super easy to keep. And then some firework cloves that have kind of taken off as well. Oh, there's a bar goby over here. This is one of my favorite fish in the tank for sure, is my bar goby. And then my clownfish actually hosts the Synthelia, which is super fun to watch because the Synthelia has literally taken over the entire tank, and it's fun to see that the clownfish have hosted this big archway full of it. So, oh, I also have a big Des Giardini sailfin tang, but even though he's the biggest fish in the tank, he seems to be the most petrified. There's that chalk bass for you. Such a beautiful fish. Not many people know they even exist. There's my Des Giardini. He's just liking to be hidden right now. There you are, buddy. We can see you anyways. So for this tank, I'm not really sure what I want to get for it. I'm definitely interested in adding something new because nothing new has gone into this tank for a while. Some of these fish are 3-4 years old. So adding a new fish needs to be thought through. Make sure that it's not going to hurt any of the other fish or cause problems. So we'll see what the shop has for this tank. The options are very wide because of how big the tank is, and I don't have too many fish in here yet. But let's go take a look at the nano tank because that's the tank that we're gonna get some fun stuff for. Okay, so I'm here in my room, and here is my little nano tank. This is just an innovative marine 10-gallon tank with a cheap little light over it. It does grow coral, but it's not gonna grow anything other than soft corals. So the aquascape is pretty minimal. I just have a Carib Sea cave rock right there. I think it looks somewhat decent. I might get a couple more rocks to add in, but this tank is fully cycled and ready to go. So today I'm gonna be grabbing an invert, whether that's a shrimp, a crab, something like that. I also maybe wanna grab a fish and some other soft corals maybe to put in this tank because it is ready to go. So with that being said, let's go head over to the shop and see what we can pick out. So we just made it to the store right now, and I'm excited to see what's in stock because I really don't know what I want, but I know I want something cool. I know I want at least one invert, at least one fish, and then a few soft corals for that 10-gallon. So let's make it inside and check out what we got. Man, these tanks are cram-packed with fish. There is no short of any options, and I'm stoked about it because I'm gonna look at every single one of these fish, make sure I know about it before I buy them. But man, there's just tanks full of fish, and over around the corner, there is tanks full of invertebrates. So we're gonna have some fun right now, do some shopping, spend a little money, because why not? Let's fill those tanks up with some cool stuff. So there's this really dope engineer goby back here. I'm not really sure if I want to go that route, but that's definitely an option. There, he's poking out his head right now. Not many people know about these guys. They look a little bit like an eel, but they are a goby, and they're pretty cool personalities. In this one, we got that pixie hawkfish right there. I'm gonna stay clear of those fish. I know that hawkfish are kind of notorious for not only being aggressive, but also eating inverts. So I don't think I'm gonna add that to either of my tanks right now. He's a little too big for the 10 gallon, and I don't want him to mess with any of my other fish in the 120 gallon. So these pajama cardinals could definitely be an option, although I don't really like the way they look all that much. I think they are decently cool, but I do like their cousins, the Bengai cardinal, more. But there is that yellow tang right there. I already have one, but for some reason I always feel like I want a yellow tang, but I'm not gonna get one because I already have a pretty big one that could have some aggression issues. Right up there hiding in the rocks, it is a little bit later in the day, so they might be sleeping, is a carpenter fairy wrasse. I don't know if I want a fairy wrasse right now. I've had them in the past. I have a few other wrasses in that tank and I'm pretty happy with them, so maybe not a carpenter today. There's a blue tang in there, I already have one of those. Ooh, look at that. That is beautiful. That is a juvenile Koran angel, and holy smokes, that thing is beautiful. I definitely don't have enough space to house this fish for its entire life, but it is a really beautiful fish nonetheless. Look at this lobster chomping down on some silver side there. Man, that is awesome. Okay, so I think these tanks over here are gonna have a little bit more realistic options for me because a little smaller fish and some better variety, I think. Let's just start over here with a couple clownfish. That definitely could be an option for the 10 gallon since I don't have any fish in there yet. That is a great starter fish and they can live in that size aquarium. Let's see, there's some more clownfish up in here. Looks like some mochas. There's some platinum clownfish here. These guys are incredible. That could definitely be an option. Moving out of this tank, these guys are really catching my eye. A pair of Alardi clownfish, are you kidding me? These things are absolutely stunning. And they're kind of a unique fish. Honestly, when everybody thinks of clownfish, they think of Mr. Nemo over here and don't really think of the Alardi type or the Clarkie type or any of that sort. But look back there. I know it's kind of underwhelming, but that is one of my favorite fish in the entire hobby, the yellow clown goby. You guys have heard me say it. If you've seen our unboxing videos, I freaking love those fish, and that is definitely an option for the 10 gallon tank. Also, talk about invertebrates. There is a gold coral banded shrimp up there that I'm eyeballing for the 10 gallon. That could definitely be an option as well. Let's look down here. Orchid dotty back is absolutely stunning, but I'm not sure if I really want to play with fire here and get an aggressive fish for the 120, and that fish is 100% too big for the 10 gallon, so I'm going to steer clear of a dotty back at the moment. Let's see, what other fish? Oh, no, they don't. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you can see him all too well. You can see his little antenna. That is a tail spot blenny. And let me tell you about tail spot blennies. I will pop up a picture on the screen right now to show you guys how stunning these fish are. They got that blenny personality. They got those two little horn looking like things on the top of their head that I absolutely love. I actually didn't even know tail spot blennies existed until my Uncle David got one in his reef tank. They're his favorite fish. He's got a super rad one in his 40 gallon right now. It's an absolute pig for food. It interacts with the other fish like a boss. It's always out swimming, and those colors are unbeatable. Shout out David, you got me in love with these tail spot blennies. That is a very, very, very viable option for a fish for the 120 gallon today. I've always wanted one of those. We might go tail spot blenny. Man, there's this very cool red V-tail grouper in this tank. Look at this guy. Look how grumpy he looks. He's just ready to eat. I wish I had a big enough predator tank to keep that guy, but unfortunately, I think he'd kill a lot of things in my 120 gallon. He's not gonna fit in that 10 gallon tank, but that thing is awesome. Maybe one day we'll have a big enough tank to take that guy home. But for now, unfortunately, we can't. Ooh, also another cool fish in this aquarium is that flame hawkfish. Now, those I would consider a little bit more because I've had better experiences with those hawkfish rather than the pixies. But I do think for the sake of my invertebrates in my 120 gallon tank, I'm going to stay clear of the hawkfish, even though that guy is absolutely incredible. There's also a filefish in this tank, which again can be a pretty underwhelming fish to some people. I actually think they look really nice and are really cool looking, and they eat Aptasia, so you can't really go wrong with a fish that eats Aptasia. Man, look at this crazy baby yellow tang. He is absolutely gorgeous. You don't see these guys very often anymore because of the Hawaii ban, but there is some baby ones in here that came from biota that are for sale. So if you're looking for a yellow tang and you're in San Diego, come by Aquatica Corals in San Marcos. This one's absolutely beautiful. It's been in the shop for a while now. It looks gorgeous and it's swimming around, eating like a pig. great option for anyone that wants a yellow tang. Okay, now let's move over to the invertebrate tank because this is probably gonna be more of what I'm getting today for the Nano Tank, but the 120 gallon, we will grab a fish. For the 10 gallon tank, I think I'm gonna stick to a couple invertebrates and maybe a coral. But let's look at some of the options. So obviously you got your standard astrea snails. I already got those in both tanks, as well as turbos and hermits. So we don't really need any more cleanup crew, but a couple additives might be sick. I'm really loving these biota aquacultured purple urchins. I think they're absolutely unique looking. Oh, there's a pipefish in this tank. Hello, Mr. Pipefish. No, but these biota urchins are really making me want one, so I might go that route. Obviously, if I put him in the 10 gallon tank, I do not have enough algae for him to eat in there, so I will have to put in either algae wafers or some seaweed for him to be able to eat and do well in that tank, but that's a pretty viable option at this point in time for me. Like I said, don't eat hermit crabs. I could grab an emerald crab. I already got about 4 of those in the 120 gallon tank, and they're not my absolute favorite, so it's not something that I would put in the 10 gallon tank because I have limited space. I don't want to overstock it with things I don't exactly like. There's an arrow crab right there, another thing that absolutely fascinates me, but I'm gonna have a difficult time putting that in my 120 gallon tank with all the small fish and invertebrates I have in there. I'm not gonna get this guy, and he's obviously very big for my 10 gallon tank, so gonna steer clear of the arrow crab. But I think I have a good understanding of what I want to get today, so I'm gonna go ahead, pick these guys up. I'll see you back at home. We'll acclimate and put them in my tank. So in total, we got 1 fish for the 120 gallon, and then we got 2 inverts, a fish, and a coral for the 10 gallon. So I'm super excited about that because again, we've not added anything to that tank outside of like some astrea snails and some turbo snails. But first, let's take a look at what we got for this tank. So after a long process of thinking, I ended up going with the tail spot blenny because I was like, man, I haven't had these fish in my tank ever, and they're one of those fish I've been looking for a while. We just didn't have them in stock. So I'm gonna go ahead and get him drip acclimating real fast, and we'll head over to the 10 gallon tank to see what we got for that. So you're back here at the 10 gallon tank with the rest of the goodies in the bag. Let's start taking a look. So first off, we're gonna start with the invertebrates that I got for this tank. There was a lot of options that I could have chosen from, and in the end, I ended up going with the gold coral banded shrimp right there, and one of those biota aquacultured purple urchins. Now that purple urchin could outgrow this tank at some point, so if he does, we'll go ahead and throw him in the 120, and I will be supplementing in this tank some algae wafers or some seaweed so that he has something to eat because there's not that much algae in here. But I'm really obsessed with this coral banded shrimp. Nice little tiny guy. I've always wanted one of these guys, but I've never seen them in the store, so I'm excited that I finally was able to get one, and there's no better tank for him to go into than this tank because it's got nothing in it. It's a fresh start. This is the first couple invertebrates that are gonna enter this tank outside of like the normal astrea and turbo snails. Okay, moving on to the fish and coral that I ended up going with. I went ahead and grabbed one of those yellow clown gobies, as well as a frag of Gagornian. Now, I'm really liking this natural light, although it's not like the normal reef style. I like the natural look of it, so I think in this tank, I'm gonna go with a more Caribbean reef with some Gagornians and soft corals, as well as some really naturally beautiful fish, just like this yellow clown goby. It's gonna be a perfect nano fish. There he is right there. They're one of my favorite fish, actually. Since I first got in the hobby, I've always been obsessed with clown gobies, especially the yellow ones. So I'm gonna go ahead and start drip acclimating these guys for this tank, and then I will show you guys when I put them in. So I went ahead and put the tail spot blenny in the tank. I tried to get footage of it, but I kind of had my hands full. And of course, instantly when I put him in the tank, he went and hid in these rocks right here. So when he comes out another day, I'll make sure to put that in one of the future videos. But I'm super excited we got that fish. It's been a fish I've wanted for a while. I think it's gonna be a great addition to this tank, and I'm super stoked. So after 30 minutes or so, these guys are all finished drip acclimating. There's a better look at that coral banded shrimp, that purple urchin from biota, and then that yellow clown goby and that Gagornian frag. I'm super excited to get these guys in their tank. I'm gonna set the camera down, move these guys over, and then I'll show you a final clip of these guys swimming around in their new tank. So for the urchin, you don't really want to expose urchins to open air because it can be damaging to them. So I'm gonna try to find a way to get this guy in the tank without exposing him to some air. Okay, all the fish are in their new home. There's that Gagornian frag. I put it there. I think I like it there, but I may end up moving in the future. I gotta clean the glass a little bit. It's a little dirty. I did a water change yesterday, but I didn't clean the glass. There's that coral banded shrimp right there. He looks absolutely great in this tank. I'm super excited. I ended up picking him. He looks great in that natural white light. And then over on this side is that biota purple urchin. He already attached to a rock. I'm gonna put some algae in there for him in a little bit. And then I'm not quite sure where the yellow clown goby went. He swam up and into these rocks, so it might be a little bit hard to see him. But again, in a future video, once these guys are even more established, I'll make sure to update you guys on this tank. All right, guys, well, that is gonna do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed all the new fish that we got. I'm super excited to finally get some new fish in these tanks. Let me know in the comments what fish you think I should get, maybe some more invertebrates. I still got a bit of room in this tank, so we can get a couple new things. So make sure you comment down below what other fish and invertebrates I should get for my 2 tanks and what we should do in that 10-gallon tank. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one.